We are Southeastern 16, covering all things SEC football. Big weekend ahead. And one of those games that you will see on Saturday is Oklahoma taking on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Is Oklahoma a 1.5 point favorite according to BetOnline? You can see this game 11:45 Saturday there on the SEC network. And today I'm going to talk three things Oklahoma can do to beat the South Carolina Gamecocks. Oklahoma coming off of that lost to Texas in the Red River rivalry on Saturday. South Carolina coming off of a 2 point loss to Alabama in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. So both teams looking to bounce back in this game after losing, kind of in two different ways. But both teams lost. So three things I feel like Oklahoma needs to do in this game to get a win. First of all, the offensive line needs to come to work for Oklahoma Saturday and give Hawkins some time against this really good pass rush that we see from South Carolina. I mean, their edge rushers are top level, some of the best in the SEC. Dylan Stewart, Kyle Kennard, both of those have given a lot of problems to just about every team that South Carolina has faced this year, including Alabama last week. We saw them put a lot of pressure. They got 4 sacks there in the first half, and so they are going to pressure your quarterback. And I think the offensive line from Oklahoma has to be ready for that, has to protect Michael Hawkins at all costs so he can have time to work, whether it's getting it out in the air, working the ground game. Oklahoma's offense has got to be ready for what they're going to see when it comes to this pass rush of South Carolina. And really their whole defensive line, not just the guys on the edge, but the guys in the middle as well. Impressive from what I've seen from South Carolina on that defensive front. And so they're good. They're fun guys to watch. I mean, and even the linebacker position, they can sneak up and make them some things happening there. So that would be my first thing that Oklahoma needs to do is protect Hawkins. Offensive line coming ready to play because that pass rush from South Carolina is something else. Again, probably some of the best that we'll see in the SEC. Another thing I feel like Oklahoma needs to do in this game, if they want to walk away with a win over South Carolina, is force turnovers. That's something that South Carolina has had a turnover problem this year. They've got 12 so far this season. They have had 9 in their games against ranked opponents. They had 4 against Alabama last week, which gave the Crimson Tide the ball in some really good field position. And so if you're Oklahoma, which Oklahoma has done nicely at forcing turnovers this year, that's something I feel like they're going to want to do to put themselves in a good position in this game. Again, they've had quite a few fumbles. They've had some interceptions as well. And so really Oklahoma, however they can get them to force turnovers and put South Carolina in difficult positions where they're having to make quick decisions and having to get the ball out however they can. And so I think that will be big for Oklahoma in this game. Again, South Carolina has turned the ball over 12 times. And again, they have tended to do that more in the games versus ranked opponents. But I think that's something that Oklahoma can certainly take advantage of there in this matchup is force some turnovers and get the ball back for yourself. And again, this Oklahoma defense has looked nice this year. They have forced turnovers. We think back, that's how they won the game against Auburn, was that pick. That's how they exploited some other teams earlier in the season, is making them turn the ball over. I think Oklahoma can do that this week as well. Before we get to our third, let's talk about our friends at BetOnline. They're the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. They have every matchup, every stat. They've got matchup breakdowns, even live odds and spreads, so you can bet on them during the games. They've got the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, Major League Baseball playoffs, NHL, NBA, to political props. When the game's over, you can go to the online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or one of the over 150 slots games. So head over to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. So the third thing I think Oklahoma needs to do in this matchup with South Carolina to be successful, to walk away with a win, is get the run game involved in this game. So far, Oklahoma just averages 3.4 yards per rush. We went into the season thinking that it could be Gavin Sawchuk that steps up, that they could have a really good run game. That has not been the case. It just hasn't been there most of the season this year. Javonte Barnes, he has 237 yards this season, 2 touchdowns. He averages about 3.3 yards per play. But as a team, and he's the leading rusher for the Sooners. Only 7 rushing touchdowns so far this year for um, Oklahoma. And so to win these types of games, to be in here, you need to be two-dimensional. And I think that's what Oklahoma needs to strive to do in this game and moving forward is get that run game going. Jackson Arnold is the second leading rusher, and he's not even playing at quarterback right now. Michael Hawkins is a guy, he's got 190 or so yards. Rushing, he's got 193 yards and a touchdown. Taylor Tatum has 133 yards, a couple of touchdowns. And so you've got some guys who can run the ball. You just need to get it going, get the run game going a little bit. And I think that will help a lot in a game like this where South Carolina is again good defensively. They're going to be putting pressure on Hawkins. You got to have a run game in situations like that, and you can't just rely, especially when you've had so many receivers out as well as Oklahoma has. Got to get the run game going. I think that will help tremendously in a game like this with South Carolina. This is a very interesting game because, like I said at the top of this video, both teams coming off of a loss. Both teams kind of see, hey, we need to rattle off some wins here down the stretch for this season. So I'm intrigued by this game. I think it could be a very entertaining game. I think it will be a very close game between these two teams. Again, both teams wanting to win, both teams coming off a loss. I feel like Oklahoma is at the point where they've just dealt with so many injuries and lagging injuries that it's been hard to kind of get a groove. South Carolina coming off that 2-point loss to Alabama. They feel like they should have had that game. And other games this season they feel like they should have had. And so it's been an up and down year for both of these teams, but I feel like we'll see a really good game when they made up on the field at 11:45 Central Time there on the SEC Network on Saturday. We've got you covered here at Southeastern 16 with all things SEC football, basketball, and baseball. As you can subscribe to our channel, we'll be reacting to this game and the rest of the day's games sometime Saturday night later on into those final games right here on the Southeastern 16 YouTube channel. So subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, spread the word about Southeastern 16. If you'd be interested in sponsoring any of our content, we have some spots available for you. You can email caroline.smith at southeastern14.com. That is the best way to do that, and we'll get in touch with you there. I'm Chase Robinson. We are Southeastern 16, and we are presented to you by BetOnline.